Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay and I am with Magnified Giving. And here today I'm with Julie, Caroline, Jamie, and Allison. And we are going to be talking about life skills as a social cause. And I'm excited for you guys to hear this one because I'm guessing maybe you haven't thought about this as a social cause before. And so, just to give you an idea of what I mean by life skills, that refers to a mission that supports individuals or groups to improve their quality of life, which may involve their living situation, abilities, job skills, mental health challenges, leadership development, etc. And so the organizations who are represented here today all kind of align with this idea of life skills, but there are lots of other organizations that do that. Um, and in fact, Magnified Giving is a life skills organization or an organization that promotes life skills. And so a couple of my colleagues are here today representing Magnified Giving. So I'm just going to have each of our panelists introduce themselves and share their organization and how their mission aligns with life skills. So Caroline, could I start with you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline Ray from Magnified Giving. I'm their Director of Education. Magnified Giving is an organization that teaches philanthropy to students for life. So our life skills comes at education when education meets life skills. And my particular background is in education, and I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about how that has developed and how it interconnects with this life skills social cause. So thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Caroline. Allison?
Hi, I'm Alison Kaufman, and I'm also with Magnify Giving. I am their Director of Programs. And Caroline just did a beautiful job of summarizing the connection of what Magnify Giving is doing as far as education and philanthropy and community engagement, because that is so key to our life skills and our personal development. So again, to mirror Caroline, thank you guys all for joining us today, and we're looking forward to educating you on the importance of developing your life skills.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. Julie?
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Julie Witten with Breakthrough Cincinnati. Breakthrough is an organization that's been working for almost 30 years in our area to help underrepresented students achieve their secondary and post-secondary goals. So that means thriving in high school academically, but also personally, and then making their way to college. And one of the things that I think is really unique and special about Breakthrough is that it creates a space, an equitable space for student voice. We serve middle and high school students, and also creates an opportunity for young adults in high school and college to try their hand at teaching and developing their leadership skills. Looking forward to talking with everyone today.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. And Jamie?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Jamie Cybris, and I'm the founder of an organization called A Voice for the Innocent. And we provide a community of support for people who have been affected by sexual violence. And so for us, the way that looks is it's an anonymous space online where people can share stories, and they can connect with our incredible team of trained volunteers who then respond to those stories and offer compassion and offer validation, and then can help people find the resources that are available to them in their own cities. And so when I think about life skills in that respect, I think for us, it kind of goes two ways. One, we are just having a support system for people who have experienced a trauma like that, and then to be connected to healing. I mean, that in and of itself, you mentioned mental health. I mean, that can be a huge relief. But then when we think about our volunteer team too, I mean, it's building empathy, and just through the kind of work that we do, and the empathy that gets built in that work, I think that I have been, I mean, just personally, I think it then extends over into, conversations about other traumas, conversations about race, conversations about poverty, and it things that, you get, it allows you to, I guess, hear stories and hear experiences from people who are not in all ways like us. And so I think building empathy is an enormous life skill. And I definitely think that that happens for our volunteers.
Absolutely awesome. Thanks, Jamie. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm just going to share a couple other examples to kind of give the students who are watching an idea of other organizations that might, also fall under this umbrella. Another great example here in Cincinnati is Dress for Success, and they empower women to achieve economic independence by providing a network of support. They also provide professional attire for women who are seeking jobs but maybe don't have the clothes that they need to go to interviews, and they just provide the development tools to help women thrive in work and in life. So that's another example. Any kind of mentoring organization, Guiding Light Mentoring is another great example here in Cincinnati. But there are a lot of other organizations that have mentoring components that are dedicated to providing positive role models, teaching relationship skills, and developing character. And some students, another thing that you might be familiar with in your schools are career and technical student organizations. And so these would be organizations that operate within your schools that are extracurricular organizations that align with certain career pathways. So if you're familiar with the FFA or FCCLA, DECA, Business Professionals of America, Skills USA, HOSA, any of those organizations, those are usually attached to a nonprofit organization that would fall under life skills. The goal of those organizations is to help students build skills and further their knowledge by participating in activities, events, or competitions. So if you're involved in any of those organizations, you're also benefiting from a life skills organization. And obviously you're involved in Magnified Giving, so you're most certainly impacted by a life skills organization, which is really cool. So hopefully that starts to get the wheels turning. There are a lot of other examples. So just think about any organization that's actively working to improve quality of life or help people develop certain kinds of skills. So I'm going to turn it over to our panelists. I have kind of some questions to ask them. And the first is that I would love to hear your take on how this kind of work is impactful to our community. Why should students support this kind of work, and what impact does it have on our community?
I'm happy to jump in first. When it comes to a voice for the innocent, we deal with a topic that is considered very taboo and very difficult for a lot of people to talk about. And so, we've gotten to talk with people all across the country, and we've gotten to say, hey, did you know that you have a resource center right here in your town? And they look at the flyers that we hand out for all 50 states and they say, I had no idea that's actually right down the street from me, and so it's because of how hard it can be for a lot of people to talk about. They don't learn about the resources that are available to them right in their own neighborhoods. And a lot of times those resources are really vital and free a lot of times, and so, when somebody, if they've been hurt by sexual violence, and they can get free counseling, or they can get, if they decide to navigate the court systems, they can get free assistance in navigating that. And I've talked myself into a place where I don't remember your exact question. I think it was just about how it impacts the community. But, when an organization like ours or other mental health organizations come out and they say, hey, we're going to help you figure that out, it takes a lot of that pressure off, I think, of, okay, I've experienced this thing and I have to navigate this big, huge system or this big, huge world that I don't know much about. And it can feel very, very daunting. And so, and 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men have been impacted by sexual violence. So it's not a small issue. It's something that happens to a lot of people. And so, so we're humbled and honored to get to walk, beside folks in their journey.
I'll jump in. I think about, hearing Jamie talk about the organization that he works with, and some of the common threads that our students and teaching fellows experience with Breakthrough, and a word that comes to mind loud and clear is voice. Well, actually, two words or concepts, voice and advocacy. And I think about the that importance that nonprofits often create a space for individuals to feel safe enough to have a voice and to self-advocate. And so, for the students listening and watching today, I sure hope that you have all sorts of experiences in your school and with your families where you're brave and bold and able to have voice and speak your mind and stand up for yourself. And, fundamentally, I think Breakthrough, we're an education organization, but we create space for students who may be underrepresented to have voice and to be brave and to, to follow their goals with confidence. And I think those life skills for some folks in our community, our neighbors who don't always have places that they feel safe, for organizations like ours to create that, I just think is really unique and special.
And I'll kind of add to that as well, kind of rolling off what both Jamie and Julie have said. One of the beautiful things I think about Magnified Giving is that we are encouraging people to stand up and advocate and positively communicate with one another. And that is definitely a life skill. And when we watch the news today and we see some of the things that are happening in the world, people are not necessarily positively communicating and listening. And those are so important in life and developing your ability to collaborate with others, to, as you move into your adult world where, adulting, being able to positively communicate, express yourself, advocate for yourself, and listen are such important life skill lessons that we need to start working on those younger. And so I think organizations like Jamie's and Julie's and Magnified Giving and the other organizations that are out and are encouraging that type of communication skill building is so vital for our youth.
I would absolutely agree. And I think when it comes down to how Magnified Giving's work is impactful for the community, it comes down to how are the students and learning about all the nonprofits that exist in our community and what does that mean for them. As an educator, I think that I define life skill as anytime you learn something and then you apply that. And that's true learning, is when you can apply that skill, when you can apply that knowledge. And I think it's Magnified Giving and the students that participate in it and the teachers that participate in it, and especially the nonprofits that participate in it, it's impactful for the community because all of these people are coming together and working together towards a common goal, because we all work every day in different ways to make our community a better and stronger place. And that's really what everyone is here doing today. So it's a wonderful thing when you see students that are reaching out and finding a nonprofit that is working in an area that they're passionate about. It's wonderful. Jamie actually came into my classroom when I was a teacher and not only shared his mission, but also shared it in a way that students could understand. And my students, after Jamie left, said, well, I mean, among other things, what an amazing storyteller. And then they saw a little bit of themselves in Jamie. And then they said, okay, well, I could do this and I could do this. And they saw more opportunities. And there are just so many benefits of being a member of a community. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. Next thing I'd like to ask is, Caroline just kind of touched on this a little bit, from her education experience, but how are your organizations able to collaborate within the community to achieve your missions? And maybe that's, among each other, but also just how are you able to collaborate with other organizations to achieve your missions?
I can go ahead on this. When I considered this question, I think the chief collaborators that Breakthrough has are the students and families that participate in the experience. I already talked a little bit about voice, and we really put that at the center of the work that we do. So our students and families really help co-create the program, which I think creates a lot of meaning for them. Outside of that, we collaborate with colleges and universities to identify young adults who are interested in service or teaching experiences. So we hire 60 people, probably just like you if you're in high school. And if you're in middle school, we have volunteer opportunities too, but we collaborate with colleges and universities to identify our great staff, and then elementary and middle school schools to identify students who participate in the program. And, you know, I would say our collaborations, we just do an awful lot of question asking, and employ curiosity to understand where we can help. We're not trying to do something that somebody else is doing or that isn't necessary. You know, we want to be relevant, and I think that involves having an open ear and doing a lot of listening to our students' families and our typically educational partners that we work with.
I think when I think about collaboration, and Julie, you mentioned colleges. You know, we're hosting an event or co-hosting an event with NKU tomorrow night, a virtual event, but we do that as well. And you probably hear my dog in the background. Speaking of, I'm sorry, but yeah. So we collaborate with colleges and places like that to do storytelling events. And we've done those before with local businesses and things, but we've also, you know, one of our whole things is being present in locations where you wouldn't normally find an organization like ours, you know, and we've set up literally at, you know, comic conventions. And so it's this way of finding we want to be where people are. So we also collaborate a lot with musicians and in music spaces. You know, we want to go reach out to where people are. If people are at a concert or festival and there's somebody reaching out to them about an experience that they have had, or that the people that they know have had, and nobody has ever reached out to them about that before, we've had some really impactful stories and really impactful moments that have come from those. And it, for us, you know, we of course love collaborating on different things with places like Women's Crisis Center or Women Helping Women, like other organizations locally who are doing really great work for sexual assault survivors. But for us, a lot of times it is collaborating with for-profits or with places where you may not normally find any kind of social services or nonprofit, just because that's a lot of times where people are going, you know, and we're able to reach folks that way. So that's kind of what I think of when I think collaboration.
Yeah, I think that what Magnified Giving does is foster that collaborative spirit, and show students that that's what's happening in the nonprofit world. It most certainly happens in the for-profit world, but a lot of times we think of like, okay, Pepsi or Coke, like pick a side. Who are you for? You know, and in the nonprofit world, it's just when the nonprofit world is working well, it's just not like that. It's we are a team, and our competitor is the social cause. So it is how can we improve hunger in our cities? You know, we don't want hunger in our cities. We have too much hunger. So all of these organizations are working in so many different ways to fight that, against that cause, you know, because we would love it if it didn't happen, or if it was so unheard of. And so all of these nonprofits, it's in their best interest to collaborate with one another, because we can tackle it. We can tackle it from a couple different issues. We can tackle it from a couple different sides. We can see the benefits of recognizing the good in one another and working together towards solving an issue. So when it comes to life skills and when it comes to Magnified Giving, our goals are so broad as an organization, because we would love for you to dive into financial literacy, into career in nonprofits, into general leadership development. There are so many different ways as an organization that we collaborate to try to ensure that you get the most out of the program. So the specific answer for Magnified Giving is that we collaborate a lot with a lot of different organizations through you students, and it is up to you to reach out to new organizations and get them registered on our website. But it also is, as a nonprofit point of view, really in our best interest always to collaborate with one another.
And I think the only thing that I would add quickly, because I think all three of our other panelists answered the question beautifully. One of the things that I think is so amazing, Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky have such a strong collaborative spirit that we're really fortunate to live in the community that we do, because we are here and we want to support one another. So hopefully our students that are participating in Magnified Giving or just getting out there and volunteering and giving their time and their talents to an organization, hopefully they are able to see that and feel that collaborative spirit. But also specifically related to Magnified Giving, that is one of the key things that that's an added benefit to the program, is that students are collaborating with one another, which again, as we mentioned, is a life skill that is invaluable and will help you carry through, whether it's through your next educational experience, or when you begin working in a profession. Being able to collaborate with one another is going to help you in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. So that's something that is really important. And again, we're just very fortunate to live in a community that is so collaborative for one another.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. I feel like what I'm hearing about all of your organizations is that each of your organizations has a deep impact on individuals, but I love that there's like a chain reaction component to that. When you think about the students who are impacted through Breakthrough Cincinnati, who go and become leaders and then impact a ton of people through their leadership, or have families that are successful and who, like, it just starts this awesome chain reaction of success and people using their voices. And similarly in Magnified Giving, students are empowered and they have these opportunities to use these different skills to learn collaboration and public speaking and advocacy, and then they go use that to positively impact their community. And same thing with A Voice for the Innocent. People are deeply impacted as they learn to tell their stories and as they heal. And I'm sure that they're able then to do that same thing for other people and impact the other people who are around them, and just grow in their skills of empathy, and just being a good supporter for people. And I love that. I love that I'm hearing like people are deeply impacted through these programs, but there's a chain reaction that happens as those people use those skills to make waves in the community. So I think that's just kind of a ripple that I'm seeing throughout all of your organizations. The last thing that I want to ask is just speaking directly to the students who are listening. If this is resonating with them, if they're interested in getting involved in this kind of organization, or getting behind a mission that improves quality of life, what advice would you give to those students who are interested? How can they get behind these missions?
I can go. As we have this conversation, it's striking me just how universal this conversation is, and the sense of people having support systems and places to go where they gain strength and connection and skills to help thrive. And we all know this is a particularly challenging time. We feel isolation and disconnection and all of that. The students served by Breakthrough Cincinnati are disproportionately experiencing the effects of the pandemic. These are households in poverty, students who are already experiencing learning loss because they don't have access to the same potentially the same resources that you do. And so ways to get involved with Breakthrough, as I mentioned before, we have volunteer opportunities. But if you are an older high school student or later when you enter college, we hire for summer positions young adults just like you to come and serve and work in a mentoring capacity with students who benefit so tremendously from, just someone who's had a similar or even a totally different path through school and life than they have, to serve in a mentoring capacity. So very specifically, Breakthrough does great work with students to help them get to college. If that's something that resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you. But more broadly, keep connected to Magnified Giving, because the experiences that you're having learning about social causes, social justice, and needs in our community will help you be a more engaged and humane citizen of the world. To understand the lived experience from others is something that I hope you keep with you always. So keep learning, keep being curious, and just plug in somewhere that matters to you. That's what matters. There isn't a right one, the right one for you. So thanks, everybody.
I can jump in. I think that, for us, we do say we welcome volunteers on our official volunteer team starting at age 16. I know that in other agencies that, like Women's Crisis Center and things like that, you typically do have to be 18, but that doesn't mean there aren't ways to be involved. We at Women's Crisis Center, we have a big, I also work there, and we have a big, presence in high schools. So, if you're watching this and there is no presence from a local agency in your high school, you can reach out to them and say, what can we do here? I really care about this cause. I want to educate classmates. I want to make sure they know about resources. And that's kind of the same thing with A Voice for the Innocent too. If you're wanting to volunteer with us, and maybe you're not 16, or maybe you're not sure about the official volunteer team, email us. We'll find stuff to do. That's the thing about nonprofits, is they thrive. Every one of them that I know of thrives on volunteers and thrives on having people saying, hey, I care about this and I want to help. So, just like Julie said, there's not a wrong one or a wrong way to be involved. Just if it's not clear, reach out, and they're probably going to have 3 or 4 projects ready for you. Oh, you know what? We needed someone to come and do this, or we needed somebody to enter this data, or we needed somebody to help. They're probably going to have answers for you right away. And from there, you're likely to learn, more about that world of work that you didn't even know. You're going to learn about other agencies doing similar work and work in the similar field. And I think just ask, just check in, say, hey, I love your organization. How can I help? And go from there.
I would also add that through the Magnified Giving website, there are so many nonprofit agencies that are registered with us that have identified their mission to fall under a life skill. So as we mentioned, and Lindsay, your explanation of what a life skill means, it is not what we would generally think of on the surface of being able to cook and clean and know how to care for ourselves and things like that, but it goes so much deeper to coping skills, leadership skills, personal development, taking care of your mental health in a positive way. So, and supporting individuals as A Voice for the Innocent does, and Breakthrough Cincinnati. There's so many opportunities out there to support individuals' life skills. If it's someone with special needs and they're learning to develop themselves so that they can potentially live on their own someday, if that's something that is a passion for you. But again, to mirror the other 2 comments, there is no right or wrong answer. It is really what drives you and what sparks your passions. So I do encourage you to do your research and look into other nonprofits, but it's also developing your personal life skills when you get out there and you try and put yourself in a situation that maybe it's taking you out of your little comfort zone, but checking into other organizations and maybe go see if you can volunteer. And maybe that's not the one for you, but you've tried at least, and that is personal growth as well. So just checking things out and doing your research and putting yourself out there is great personal development, which is certainly a life skill to get out of our comfort zone for sure.
I'm going to massively echo Allison because we're definitely on the same page on this. But yeah, I think one of my favorite quotes is education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And so I think go out there and find your spark, and it will lead you to more. Learn about something that interests you, volunteer for an organization that interests you, and maybe it will work out and it will lead to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and maybe it will lead you to the conclusion that, oh, maybe that's not what I wanted it to be, or maybe that's not the direction that I wanted to go in, and that it's a really, really valuable thing as well. So do what you can while you can. When I was in high school, I participated in the Magnified Giving program, and it was really valuable for me, mostly in the way that I ended up going to an organization that changed my life. And what I did for them is I cleaned hallways for a housing organization, and that's exactly what I can do. Today I can wake up on Saturday morning and spend 5 hours cleaning hallways, and that's totally something in my skill set. And it didn't teach me how to clean. I'm really good at sweeping. I will put it out there. I think I have my 10,000 hours, but I think that just trying something new and knowing that you have a place in the community, you truly do. So go try something. Go try something new.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank Julie, Caroline, Jamie, and Allison for joining us today. Students, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're enjoying these cause panels. But yeah, panelists, thank you so much for sharing your insight and wisdom. And students, have a great day.